If you're interested in learning how to cultivate gratitude, stay tuned to this morning's show to learn the secret formula. Find out what it's all about coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning and happy 4th of July, and welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at Tidelands Bank and their new branch location on Highway 17 Bypass South in Murrells Inlet. We're focused on cultivating gratitude, and we're visiting with a man who lives his life by that personal motto. Good morning, Andy Lesnik. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
How about this Tidelands Bank?
Very nice.
It's a great facility.
It sure is.
A year ago at this exact same week, we were filming at the new branch location up on 44th Avenue of Tidelands Bank, and had some of the same folks. Bob Hendrick was with us that week, pumping up the 24th. Now this week, the 25th Annual Boat Parade, and Kathy Hustis, Reverend Hustis from Coastal Samaritan Counseling Center was with us, pumping up the Dr. Holmesby Springs Junior Golf Tournament, which is coming up the end of this month. And of course, the opportunity to get you in, it's taken a while to get you back in.
I've been busy.
Oh, I know, Andy. A lot going on. I think I read recently, actually, you're helping to organize and found a new community bank.
I am. I'm an organizer of a new community bank called Coastal Carolina National Bank.
Great.
And we got a great board, and we're in the formative stages.
Right.
We hope to expect to open later this year.
And I saw the beautiful new location you all have up near the Founders Center.
That's right.
Between the Founders Center and the
Convention
Center, which is a hot location.
Yeah.
How did y'all land that, Andy?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I love that location.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks,
and as you said, a lot going on. The recent recipient of the Silver Medal Award from the local Advertising Association Advertising Federation camp that recognized you as their big annual honoree, which was a very big deal. Congratulations.
Thanks, Craig. I appreciate that.
Cultivating Gratitude came out that night. I think you shared with the
crowd. I did. I mentioned it that night that it's kind of a personal mantra of mine. You know, we go through good times and bad times in life, and good times and bad times economically. And the last time I went through a really hard time in my business was 1990-91, so it's been a long time.
Right.
But I really came out of that learning to just cultivate gratitude, just learn how to focus on the things that you should appreciate. And it works against feeling entitled to things. You know, so if you train yourself to be thankful, basically, and tune into things that you might take for granted, like just having enough to eat or clean water, or things that a lot of people in the world don't have, that we just take for granted.
Right.
It helps have a more positive attitude and get you through things.
Right.
So, kind of stayed with me since then, and I like it as a simple formula.
And the personal motto, the personal aspect of that, deals both on the personal side of your life as well as in the workplace.
Absolutely, yeah. It's just a way to, you know, there's a lot of things people say about having a positive attitude or the value of positive energy. But cultivate gratitude is really a way to think about your relationship to God or the universe or something bigger than yourself.
Sure. And
to be grateful, you know, to just learn how to do that. So, you know, when you're feeling bad or you're anxious or you have things that might kind of throw you off kilter, to be able to bring it back to something that's more about gratitude, I think, is just constructive.
You said learn how to do that.
Yeah.
What are some of the steps, let's say, to somebody, if you were talking to them about how to cultivate gratitude? Are there some steps there that you've learned over the years about how you would actually learn how to cultivate gratitude?
Well, partly I think it's learning how to put your mind and your feelings on the focus that you want them to have, because we're all subject to our feelings and our moods. They just come over us.
Right.
You know? So to be able to recognize, like, well, I don't really want to feel this way, or I don't like where I am right now.
Right.
To be able to recognize that and say, you know, I'd rather put my mind or my thoughts somewhere else and focus on things that I can be grateful for. You know, a lot of times they're just simple things. Like I mentioned, that 1990-91 period was really the last personally tough time I've had in my business life. But I learned to think about things like the country's at peace. The sun is shining.
Yeah.
My family is healthy.
Right.
Things that
simple things that are actually really big.
Exactly.
They're big things. Saying it to yourself simply or recognizing it.
Yeah, to appreciate that and be grateful for it and recognize that that's more important than this account or that account or things like that.
Yeah.
So each person has to go through their own way to do it.
Right.
But the thought resonates for most people who recognize that they do have a lot to be grateful for.
Yeah.
And I've traveled a lot outside this country and spent a lot of time in the third world.
Right.
And there are places where people don't have clean water. They live in incredible poverty, and we just take all these things for granted as Americans. So it's good not to take them for granted.
Well, the great step even beyond that is that idea that in those third world countries, living without water and deep poverty, those folks are still able to cultivate gratitude.
That's right.
Which
is
tremendous. That idea that they're really able to, they may not say their country's at peace. Right. They may not think through the steps of my family's healthy, but they find some way.
That's
and
right.
I guess that same thing for us. We, even at deep depths of low points in our life, can find something to be thankful
That's
for.
right. I mean, a lot of times, affluent societies like we live in, the material side of things just gets out of balance, and you can't remember what's really important. So that's it.
That's good. Well, thank you. Yes, we wanted to open that up since we are we're celebrating our nation's birth, but also our independence.
Right.
A real opportunity here on July 4th as folks are preparing for the big boat parade today and Bob Hendrick Day in Merle's Inlet, and our viewers in the PD in southeastern North Carolina possibly getting ready for some fireworks shows. Big special things going on tonight. A lot to be thankful for.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Even just to live in America in terms of the freedom we have and the opportunities we have compared to so many places in the world is a lot to be grateful for.
Absolutely, Andy. What brought you to the area, Andy? Are you originally, you're not from the area, are you?
I'm not. I came here, you've heard the story before, but I came here.
with viewers who may not have caught you when you've been with us in the past.
I came here in 1970 with 3 friends and a dog named Ralph and a psychedelically painted VW van.
Oh, boy.
We were basically hippies. I had a long beard, long hair. We were camping out. Myrtle Beach was one of our stopping points. We were heading to California, actually. We arrived.
From where to?
Well, I went to Harvard, and a year after that, I hit the road with my friends.
Yeah, so you all weren't necessarily leaving from anywhere.
We were in between. We hadn't settled anywhere.
Right. Yeah.
And so we didn't have any place to go back to.
Right.
We were wandering, and we got here November 1st. It was freezing. We camped out at Apache Campground.
Oh, yeah, good.
Which is one of the few campgrounds still here.
That's right.
And I've never left. I mean, I just connected with Myrtle Beach, and I literally never left. My friends went on.
Right.
Their little odyssey. All of them eventually came back and lived here.
All three of them?
All 3 of them.
Wow. Well,
of course,
because
Ralph
you were such a magnet.
No, it wasn't me.
What could have pulled them back here? Ralph is not with us.
Ralph is gone, and the van is gone.
And the van, I wonder if anyone's tried to track that down.
We've got photos of it.
But the other 3, what was it about the area that obviously they recognize you love something?
They like the area,
right.
So they've all been here ever since.
Are they still all still living?
They're all still here.
That's tremendous.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That is. Yeah. That is. Do you all have reunions? You're coming up on your 40th reunion in about 18 months, maybe a little more.
You mean my college reunion?
I'm sorry, the November 1 of 70, and let's see, is that 2010? We're not far, 2 years out.
No, we don't actually have reunions.
Okay,
reunions. I might remember the day, but
that's big in and of itself.
Yeah.
And what was it about the area that really you bonded with? Apache Campground's a special place, obviously, and Ocean Lakes opened, I guess, the next year in 71.
Yeah. Well, actually the thing that brought me here in the first place was that there's a spiritual retreat here.
Oh, really? Yes. What's that?
That's the Mayher Spiritual Center. So 500 acres,
Oh,
it's a sanctuary, right next to where Briarcliff is, and
next to Walmart up there.
Next to Walmart,
Right.
and that's kind of what drew me here, and it's just a wonderful place, and that's part of why my friends came back as well.
Yes.
So, yeah.
The Mayor Spiritual Center.
Mayor Spiritual Center.
500 acres.
500 acres.
Do folks ever go back there? Is that, I mean, clearly
It's a
friends
place of
and-
spiritual retreat.
That's
Cabins in the
fantastic.
woods, and
Right.
it was founded in the 40s actually. The land came from the Burroughs and Chapin family,
Right.
and so it's really an amazing thing. It's a little oasis in the middle of all of the commercialization of our area.
Right. No one actually lives there full time.
No, it's
just a great
it's
retreat.
a spiritual retreat.
That's
yeah.
wonderful.
So, you ever been there?
I've never been there, Andy.
well-
I've heard folks talk about it, including yourself.
Yeah.
One of your former, one of the folks who used to be at LHWH
Right,
had mentioned it
right.
to me many times.
Right. So that was kind of the initial attraction,
Mm-hmm.
was to check that place out.
So you did, you checked it out, you
Checked it
loved
out,
it.
loved
and
it.
then the doors opened to, of course, back in, I think you shared with us a couple years ago, Sherry R. Press was your first venture.
Right. And then, like many people my generation, I came from being counterculture, hippie guy
Yeah.
to mainstream America. Started a business in 1971 with a partner, printing business, Sherry R. Press,
Sherry R. Press.
which is
yes.
still there. It's for 10 years running the most award-winning printer in South Carolina.
Oh, come on. Say
It's
that
fact.
again. For
10 years
running.
running. Yep.
The most
Award-winning
award-winning
printer in the state.
In the whole state?
In the whole state.
Probably one of the strongest then in the Carolinas.
One of the top 2 or 3 in both North and South Carolina, year in and year out.
Wow.
That's based on our trade association. They have annual award competition called PICA Awards, and Sherry R. Press usually wins the most or the second most awards of any printer in North and South Carolina. So yeah, I'm proud of that. It's
You've
pretty
got to
cool.
be,
Yeah.
yes. So
Yeah.
that a business you had helped found or co-founded,
Right.
And now are the managing partner of
Right.
almost 40 years later.
Yep.
That for 10 consecutive years.
You're making me feel old, Greg.
I'm sorry, Andy. Well,
This
we were
40
about
years
to
thing,
ask,
you got to stop this 40 years
You've
thing.
got to go back to the idea if you miss the long hair and the long beard.
Yeah.
Do you?
No.
Oh, no, not at all.
No, I don't miss that. No.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
Did you keep that? Did you keep the beard and the long hair when you co-founded Sherry R. Press? How long did you?
briefly.
Right.
What happened was that I was actually 24 years old when we started Sherry R. Press, so I knew nothing about what I was doing, nothing about printing, stumbled into it, and discovered I had to kind of go out and drum up business. So I didn't understand sales, I didn't understand printing. I was a Yankee, my company name was unpronounceable, I had long hair and a beard. So I was basically thrown out of every place I walked into.
Oh, yeah.
With, a southern kind of courtesy of, can I help you?
Yeah.
Which really meant back out the door.
Out the door.
So I did learn that it would be helpful if I shaved and didn't have a beard and didn't have long hair and started to get some new clothes.
Throw in a
and,
little southern drawl,
present myself better.
Yeah.
So,
and it worked.
so of necessity, I learned how to do that and had some help, of course, along the way from people who
Some good.
were kind enough to buy something from me. And,
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Who were some of those folks? Do you remember some of those that stand out?
interestingly enough, the 2 of my first customers were Edgerton Burroughs,
Edgerton Burroughs,
who's
yes.
first chairman of the
Chairman
board
of
of
the board,
BNC,
yes, right.
and really the one of the key organizers of this new community bank. Also,
Good, of Coastal Carolina National
Coastal Carolina
Bank.
National
Yeah,
Bank.
Right. Love
and
that name.
also Larry Biddle, who at the time was
love,
in charge of admissions at Coastal Carolina College.
Right.
So those were 2 of my first customers, and
love
they're
it.
still friends.
yeah.
Almost 40 years later, or some
I know.
people would
Let's
have
drive
it.
that
you
home.
know.
Yeah.
So, and of course, my agency LHWH has done a lot of business with BNC
Right.
for a long time. So that relationship with Edgerton and BNC,
And Larry, of course, is on the board.
Larry's
there,
on the
which is
board
wonderful.
there.
Yes. Yes.
So that's just been a great relationship for a long time.
Those are great friends to have had back since
Yeah.
1971 and to have maintained
That's right.
friendships. Have you had that? I mean, oftentimes folks will have clients for long times, and sometimes they may leave for a little while and come back. You've maintained those relationships almost throughout.
Yeah, it's actually one of the unusual things about our agency, because our agency's top clients have been clients of ours for average of 15 years or more.
Right, sure.
The national average for agency client tenure is about 2.3 years. So the national average is churn, you know.
Right.
And we've always just concentrated on trying to deliver value and performance and service to our existing clients more than chasing lots of new business.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it's worked well for a long time,
Right.
although this year we could use some new business.
Oh, boy, really?
Yeah.
Are we looking for some new business?
I am, yeah. So
What can we do about that?
what can we do about that? Yeah.
That's exciting.
You could have me on your show.
Yeah, we're on Carolina People. It's July 4th.
There
A
you
lot of
go.
folks are off work, so hopefully they're tuning in
Yeah.
to hear about Sherry R. and, of course, cultivating gratitude.
Yes.
That in and of itself has probably been a great role, a great position to have in the business to enable you to have those clients, many of them for more than 15 years.
It helps, and it's also something I think that comes up internally a lot, you know, because LHWH has about 35 people and Sherry R has about 25 people.
Right.
So, you know, there's 60 people. We share a building
Oh, yeah.
on the bypass next to Martin's
A
Superstore.
magnificent location across from Planet Hollywood.
Across from Planet
People
Hollywood.
know, of course.
B&C actually sold us that land in 1983 before much was there, so it turned out to be a good location.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, as I've gotten older and work with people who are younger than myself and who are still, you know, getting acclimated to the business world and life and things, it is helpful for me sometimes to be able to remind them to cultivate gratitude.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
because in my personal life, you know, I've been married since 1972 to Dot,
Well, I
same
remember,
person.
now that's a great story, Andy,
You know.
for viewers who may not have
Yeah.
who may have missed you when you shared with us about you and your co-founder of Sherry R, Sheila Krinsky, I believe.
Right, that's correct.
I think hired Dot, is that right?
We did. You know, I grew up as a kind of wanting to be a writer, and Sheila grew up as a painter, and my wife is a painter. So when we started Sherry R, there were just 4 of us in 600 square feet. It was awful, actually. You know, it might sound nostalgic, but it wasn't. It was horrible.
Where was that location?
That
by
was
the
in
way?
North Myrtle Beach, right on Highway 17. I used to actually got a long cord for my telephone, so I could take the telephone outside and stand on Highway 17 to talk on it, because I couldn't hear inside the building.
Oh, boy.
But we hired Dot as our 5th employee, and I remember when we did it that Sheila and I both felt like neither one of us had kind of seen ourselves as being in the business world.
Right.
So we kind of felt like, let's get her.
Yeah.
You know, it's like she shouldn't be free to pursue her art. We'll bring her into the commercial world. So we did, and then, you know, Dot and I ended up falling in love, getting married, and
pushed her out of the office
her
so
out,
you could
you know.
actually marry her. That's
got married the next year, and
Wow.
have 2 daughters who are now 33 and 35.
Oh, yeah. Now, you're dating yourself there. I'm not pressing that.
Yeah,
That's right.
there you
yeah.
go.
You've
There
got
it is.
girls in their early 30s. That's
That's right.
tremendous. Are they here in the area, Andy?
One of them is in the Bay Area.
Okay.
She's an attorney. She currently works for the ACLU in San Francisco.
Great. Good for
The other
her.
one is a ceramic artist, and she's currently staying at home and looking for what to do next.
Good for her.
She's a very talented ceramic artist, but it's hard to get paid enough money to make that
Oh, yeah.
a career path, so she's evaluating. Meanwhile, she's a gourmet cook, and we're really happy to have her
I
home.
bet you are.
Yeah.
Happy to have her up
Yeah.
there. That is wonderful, Andy.
I think it's good for us. I'm not sure how great it is for her, but we're enjoying it.
You never pulled anyone into the agency or into Sherry R Press? You never pulled Dot back in?
You know, I don't really believe in pulling people where they don't want to go. So it would have taken a lot of
right.
pulling.
Yeah.
So no, that wasn't anything that Dot or either of my daughters were interested in doing.
right.
Yeah.
I was interested reading a little bit about the history. I found some old pieces about LHWH and its founding. It looks like in 1983 you all merged with another firm that was just founding about that time.
Well, that firm founded in '83, and then what happened is that from Sherry R Press, I discovered I was more interested in marketing
Right.
and advertising than printing. So I started a new agency, and then that agency merged with another local agency in '86, '87.
Okay.
That other agency I think started in '83.
Okay.
So
that's
we've been together as LHWH since '86, '87.
Right.
And those partners are all still together. I mean, that's another part of what my history has turned out to be is preserving long-term relationships.
Great partnership.
You know, with my partners, with people who work there, with clients, with the spouse. You know,
Yes.
all those.
Girls, yes, very definitely.
Yeah.
Very definitely. So important. Those were driven home in your acceptance speech. You were kind enough to forward a copy of that. And there was one great point here. I'm just breaking them down real easily. Some of the things you really liked about the marketing business,
Yeah.
aside from partnerships, but one of them, you get to work with creative people. You obviously have to keep learning, constantly learning, picking up new things. We'll talk about iDigit in a second.
Okay.
And the whole really is greater than the sum of its parts. The
Right.
whole really is greater than the sum of its parts. Those are three great. Was it over the course of the last almost better not say it, the last 30-some years that you've picked that up, or are those
Yeah,
things you picked up early on?
No, it's cumulative.
Right.
I mean, part of the charm of the agency business is it's stimulating and challenging. You do have to keep learning. You have to learn about a client's business. You have to keep up with the changing competitive landscape, changing methodologies for marketing. The internet has changed everything. The digital age has changed everything. You have to be smart. You have to get to solutions quickly. You have to be able to evaluate creative, stimulate, you know, synergy among people. So all of that is stimulating. And there's any number of people who work at LHWH who have said that in any other job they've had, they got bored after a certain period of time because it became routine. It's never routine in the agency business, and they don't get bored. You know, so that's also part of what I like about it. You know, I've always had a good active mind, and I like thinking about things, and I've got a good affinity for business, so it's stimulating.
Yes.
It's never dull. So that's part of the charm of it.
I love it. I love it. iDigit at Sherryar.
iDigit at
Share
Sherryar.
with viewers. We've just got a couple of minutes. And since
Okay,
we're talking
so,
about this is a non-commercial show, so we're not drumming up business, but we want to know.
Okay, this is actually really cool. So
I love it.
We, you know, there's been a movement in the printing industry towards digital printing. Now, digital printing does a couple of things. First of all, it allows you to run high-quality work in short quantities, cost efficiently, whereas in the past you couldn't do that.
Right.
It also allows you to turn things really quickly. Like we might get somebody, this happened recently, where they needed like 6,000 four-color pieces in a day. But you can do that digitally where you really can't do that conventionally.
Right.
Okay, so that's cool. But digital printing also incorporates variable data possibilities so that you can personalize things more. So, you know, we've all gotten these mailings that say Greg, blah, blah, blah. But that is evolving with more and more sophistication so that you can personalize things. You can also do something that's called creating a personalized URL. The acronym for that is a PEARL. Okay, have you heard of a PEARL?
No, I
now
haven't.
You have.
Right here, July 4th.
Personalized URL, PEARL. So what, for example, what we can do and what we are doing is, let's say we were going to do a traditional postcard mailing. Well, we can send out that mailing, but we can send it to you and say, hey, Greg, we've created a special web page just for you.
Right.
Greg Everett at whatever.
Right.
Okay. So you see your name in a URL. You go there. When you get there, it's personalized to you. Hi, Greg, blah, 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 blah. Now, when you go there, we know that you've gone there because digital technology will capture that.
Yeah.
And then we can ask you to do certain things and start building a database about you.
Right.
And then continue to customize and personalize communication. So the same database can drive variable data printing, personalized URLs, customized emails. And we hired a guy about 6 months ago who we call a wonder kid. He's like 26, 27 years old,
Right, yeah.
but he lives and breathes this stuff.
Right.
So both companies, LHWH and Sherryar, are getting heavily into that. But at Sherryar, we're calling that division of the company iDigit with the sign,
the ampersand.
Sherryar.
At Sherryar.
Yeah, and we're creating a new website, a new identity just for that part of our business. And of course, the iDigit is spelled in the same way as iDigit.
I love it.
So you know you can read it or pronounce it either way. We pronounce it iDigit.
Like digital.
Yes, like digital.
Very
So we're very jazzed about it, and it's in the early stages of launching.
And rightfully so. And
Yeah.
we're jazzed about you, Andy, but we've run out of time.
No,
I'm embarrassed to say 25 minutes.
You're
has gone
kidding.
by. Yeah.
We're just getting started.
I know. There's so many more things. I wanted to get into your simple ground rules to live by that you passed
That's
on
right.
to your girls, which are so good. Maybe I can do it in the wrap. Thanks so
Okay.
much for being with us this
Thank you,
morning,
Greg.
Andy. Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Andy Lesnik coming up next. You know, Andy and Dot Lesnik may not have originated those 2 simple ground rules to live by. When they heard them, they didn't fall on deaf ears. They did not fall on deaf ears. Those 2 heard them, they talked them about, they thought about them. How are we going to make a difference? We're going to pass these 2 simple ground rules on to our girls and hope that they can live their lives this way as they go off to school and think about interacting with other kids in the classrooms. Let's just keep it real simple. We're talking about 5- and 6-year-olds, 7- or 8-year-old girls. Let's make sure they can remember something. Treat other people well and do your best. Treat other people well and do your best. It's been happening there at Sherry R. Press in '71, treating other people well. It's been happening at LHWH since its founding. It's been happening in the Lesnik household. Treat other people well and do your very best. A man whose personal mantra is cultivating gratitude on a day like today, our Independence Day. We can cultivate gratitude with him. Andy Lesnik, thanks so much for being with us this morning. Very definitely.